everybody, and welcome to another episode of the Slappin Kpop podcast. I am Kayla, and today I am I'm here with Sammi once again.
Hello.
And continuing on our sort of 2 J-pop themed episodes this month, we are now going to explaining to you more groups other than just JO1, because we do listen to other J-pop groups that are not JO1.
Yes.
Not many, but some. And
it is sort of an intro to J-pop.
Yes.
Specifically for people that like K-pop. Because what we have found, mainly, is that when you start going into J-pop, people like to throw you in the deep end.
Yes. Which is... It's hard. And so it's like,
hard.
This is specifically an introduction to a very small niche of J-pop that is very similar to K-pop. Mm-hmm. And so if you want to start going into J-pop, we think it's a good place to start from a K-pop band's perspective, because the musically it's very similar.
And like, it's a very specific niche. This is not what greater J-pop is like.
This is no.
Not at all.
So this is not an introduction to J-pop, like actual J-pop, just coming from a K-pop fan's perspective. That's not what this is. And this is an introduction to a very specific niche of J-pop. And I feel like if you listen to our podcast, like, you know what this niche is already, because we talk about them a lot. So
we talk about most of these groups a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And specifically, we're going to talk about, I think it is 6 groups.
Yes.
6 artists as a whole.
6 artists. One is a girl group and one is a male soloist.
Exactly.
And the rest of them are boy groups.
And just overall, it is just... So, I don't enjoy J-pop. We have both tried. Yeah. We both every year take a journey into J-pop. At the end of the year, usually.
Mm-hmm.
We take a journey into J-pop, see what was popular, and realize still not our thing.
Yeah.
Because I think that a lot of people tend to lump them together.
Mm-hmm.
And what you find from being in a K-pop or a J-pop community is that you don't kind of overlap as much as you think you do.
There is much larger of a musical gap in between K-pop and J-pop than people, I think there is. Like, there is a significant difference in the type of music you get in J-pop than there is in K-pop. So making that jump is a lot larger and a lot more different than a lot of people, I think, expect it to be.
Because in a weird way, it is almost easier to get from K-pop back to Western music and from K-pop even back to C-pop.
Yeah.
Than it is to get from any of those to J-pop is its own, like, singular thing.
Mm-hmm.
And if you like that, that's fine. But that's also why a lot of J-pop fans are not K-pop fans.
It's so different. It's so different than what K-pop is. And... Mm-hmm. You get a lot of, like, recommendations for J-pop, like, if you're a K-pop fan, because I think just algorithms think that they're the same thing. And you'll also see a lot of videos that are like, oh, J-pop you should listen to if you're a K-pop fan, and, like, that's all well and good, but once you get into actual, like, J-pop music, you will very quickly realize how different it is than actual K-pop.
The closest I can see is if you are very into very cute girl groups,
mm-hmm.
which are even not a big thing in K-pop anymore.
Yeah, those are kind of on, that trend is on its way out in K-pop.
Yeah, what I'm saying is, like, bubblegum sweet girl groups that tend to veer. I'm talking, like, if you were really into, like, super early Oh My Girl, like, super early Twice, kinda. Like, not even then. It's so sugary. It's so much sweeter.
Yeah.
It is so much sweeter and so much... tends to almost screw you younger.
And even with that, there is also a huge difference in the vocal styling of J-pop, too. Yeah. That is sometimes also a really big turnoff for K-pop fans as well. Because the style of singing is so different, because I think almost every single J-pop, or at least major J-pop artist, is trained in a certain style of singing that sounds very nasal. It sounds very nasally. And to a lot of people who are used to listening to K-pop and the way that K-pop idols sing, it sounds pretty bad. It's not like, I don't think they're being trained wrong, but they're just trained different, and it's a very different style. It takes a long time to get used to. And coming from someone who's so used to K-pop, it does sound like they sound bad. Like they sound bad if you're used to a K-pop style of singing.
If you're a boy group, if you're a more of a boy group fan, you're dealing with an entirely different set of rules and regulations here.
Yeah. Because like, even the boy groups even have like the weird nasally type style of singing too.
And just the group structures and the group themselves are so different than what a K-pop group is doing.
Mm-hmm.
Because the other thing, and this is a major thing that as time has gone on, K-pop has gotten more into, is J-pop groups don't, like, their singing style is so different, and the music video quality is slightly lower because it just seems like it's just a different style.
I think
and also their dancing is not, they're not trained in dance the way that K-pop idols are.
No, not at all.
At all.
Not at all.
Male or female.
Mm-hmm.
But like for the boy groups, it kind of is very evident if you just compare a boy group, a J-pop and a K-pop boy group. It's very different. It's
very different. There is one actual J-pop group that I enjoy listening to, and that's YOASOBI.
Yeah.
The only way that I really see K-pop fans getting like really into J-pop is if you're also a really big fan of anime and you're listening to anime openings, and the anime opening style of music is something you also really like, and you can sort of jump into J-pop off of that. But then again, like that's jumping into it from anime, not from K-pop.
From K-pop.
Yeah.
And also, that is almost jumping into it because, like, yeah, you'll get some J-pop, but you're also going to get a lot of J-rock in there.
Yeah.
And J-rock is an entirely different
thing. A lot more soloist also that do, like, the anime opening style as well.
And also, if they need a group to do it, they might also just get a K-pop group, because that's been a recent trend.
K-pop groups just do a lot of anime openings, but just in Japanese as well.
But just in Japanese,
yep.
Which is, okay, we're going to go with that now. So I think we're going to start just giving, like, a quick deep dive into what
our experiences with real J-pop, because we're very unknowledgeable about J-pop. All of this knowledge is based off of, like, a couple of times where we went on, like, a Wikipedia rabbit hole about it. So that's really all we have.
And then we got scared and left.
Yeah, and then we left immediately.
We were like, I don't need to understand more.
Mm-hmm. If the first thing for like boy groups specifically is like if we learned anything from how the structure of like Produce Japan is set up is that the age range for boy groups is a lot older than it is for K-pop groups.
Oh yeah.
Because I would say debut age for like K-pop idols now is like as young as like 14 through like 22.
Something like, and if you're getting a 22-year-old idol, he's like the leader old. And he's the old man.
Yeah.
He's the old man of the group, and they will make fun of him forever for it.
Yes.
Just look at like Golden Child.
Mm-hmm. In boy groups for J-pop, age range is typically like 16 through as old as 30. Like you can debut pretty old in J-pop.
You debut, like most of them are debuting in their like 19 to like 25
19
range.
to 25, 26, yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing with that is also a lot of that does end up having to do with military service. When you need to have a full career, established career before you're 26, 27, then leave for 2 years and then maybe come back. Right. So your companies are going to try to skew lower to get more time out of you.
Oh, yeah.
Which is okay, but also it does also just give you different vibes.
It does. It's very different. And that's like, definitely a cultural thing as to why the industry is like that, why J-pop skews older, is because that's not a issue that they have there.
No.
So there's really two companies in terms of boy groups that we are familiar with, like J-pop companies that create boy groups.
There are really only like two major companies from what we're finding.
Yeah.
J-pop, unlike K-pop, where everyone and their mother has a K-pop company and there are K-pop companies entirely set up for one group. J-pop, at least the major J-pop boy groups, are made by two companies.
Yes.
And they make all of them.
They really do. They kind of have like, they seem to have like a pretty like firm hold Monopoly on the boy group market, yeah.
Which is also why a lot of like you're able to get so many trainees in like produces that are independent trainees because they don't have a company because they're not under these two companies.
Yeah, because unless you're in one of these two companies, like
you're kind of
you're just kind of by yourself. Yeah. So the first one is Johnny and Associates.
Mm-hmm.
So this is also based off of like my very limited understanding of how J-pop works, but it seems like once you're a trainee there, you can be in like pre-debut training mode for upwards of like 10 years. And
mind you, this isn't like in K-pop where like you're in like you can train, like G-Dragon trained for 10 years, but he also started when he was 9 and debuted at 19.
Yeah.
This is like starting at 16 and debuting when you're like 27.
Yep. And the reason we were sort of made aware of this is because back in 2020, they debuted 2 boy groups on the exact same day, which are Six Tones and Snowman, which we sometimes reference.
We do. These are the boy groups that we will reference as comparisons to JO1.
Whenever we go back and check on like what actual J-pop is doing, those are the 2 groups we normally go check on first. There's like, what are Six Tones and Snowman doing?
Snowman up to like what is we? I have like if you're actually into J-pop, please tell us like better groups to check out because
that's all we have to go off of, really.
Because like we look at those 2 every once in a while, and then I don't know because we look at sales and they sell really well. They sell
like millions of albums. They're
so like I don't know
sales are great.
Yeah, because so I'm not entirely sure about the like overall how do I describe this? Like perception of those 2 groups, like are they perceived well?
I have absolutely no idea what people think of that. Like
I have absolutely no idea what actual J-pop fans perceive JO1.
Yeah,
I assume well, but who's to
I
say?
feel like J-pop fans might hate JO1 for all I know, and I feel like that wouldn't be unreasonable. Like
all of that
I have
seems
no idea
to me. Like
literally zero idea.
Will I continue to just give JO1 as much money as possible now because of that? Yes.
Always.
I like to go with that.
Mm-hmm. But looking back into Six Tones and Snowman, I just like went on their Wikipedia pages one day and it was like, and then it was like pre-debut activities and some of them go back to like 2009. And I was like, you're telling me these people have been doing stuff in this company for like 10 plus years before they actually debuted?
And the answer is yes. Mm-hmm. And then they finally debut at like 28, like 30 years old. So we're looking at 93 to 2003.
Interesting.
For Snowman. So a good 10 years.
Which I mean, that happens. That kind of an age gap happens in K-pop too. But the fact that 93 is like ancient to be debuting in 2020.
92 is the oldest. Sorry.
Yeah.
So there's a 92 to 2003, but the 2003 kid seems to be a bit, like he's the outsider.
He was like an afterthought addition or something.
Most of them are like 93 to 97.
Yeah. And it seems like pre-debut activities-wise, it seems like once you're a trainee under that company, it's like you're pretty publicly known and you'll be doing like
a lot
of activities and stuff as well. And it's kind of like you're already well known and you're just kind of here waiting until like you're officially debuted, I guess. It's weird. I don't 100% know how it works. So there's that. The other company that is very prominent in J-pop is the Exile company.
Oh boy, that's another thing we every once in a while check out, but I get so confused with
it's way more confusing than Johnny's and Associates, so I tend to stay away from Exile and related groups
because we just get confused.
I have this lovely equivalent for the K-pop audience as to what this company sort of is. Mm-hmm. So let's talk about Shinhwa. Shinhwa, one of the currently the like longest living active boy group in K-pop.
And they still make music.
Yeah, so Shinhwa, so they open Top Media. That's their own K-pop company. They left SM Entertainment. They opened Top Media. But instead of it being called Top Media, let's say they called it the Shinhwa Company. And then the Shinhwa Company became the most prominent company in K-pop.
They become like the new SM.
They ran SM out of business, and now the Shinhwa Company is the most prominent company in K-pop. And let's also imagine that every single group they debuted afterwards is referred to as being from the Shinhwa tribe. So let's, for example, say Teen Top. Teen Top would now be Teen Top from the Shinhwa tribe.
It would be of tension from the Shinhwa tribe.
100% from the Shinhwa tribe, and MC&D from the Shinhwa
tribe.
And that is the sort of collection of groups that we have at Exile Company.
And also, I think that they sort of intermingle a bit, too.
They do. And then also imagine that it's kind of like a weird,
like
SM Entertainment NCT, like, Super M situation as well.
Where everyone is possibly in everything. Like, it's just a stable of men that you kind of mix and match.
Yes, yes.
So then, because you end up with, like, generations from the Exile tribe.
J-Soul Brothers.
J-Soul Brothers. That's where J-Soul Brothers comes from.
The Lipstick Boys from the Exile tribe.
The Rampage from the Exile tribe, which is, like, there's just a lot from the Exile tribe.
So much. There's so much happening here.
And it's a lot. Every once in a while, you look in there, and then I get scared and I leave, because it's too much. And really also, it's been going on for about as long as Shinhwa, so, like, since, like, since the 90s.
Yeah.
So it's, like, 20 years of history.
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's, like, the more I look into that, the more confused I become.
I don't like it.
But they have a lot of groups there. And
There's a lot.
It's something.
And, like, they're all kind of, since they're all from the same company, you are all dealing with, like, a similar style there. So, like, if you're not into it,
then
you're
just
not
gonna
really going to be into it.
All of the rest of them, yeah.
Yeah.
And then to go to girl groups, which is honestly very, very different than boy groups. I know there's, like, a pretty stark contrast between how girl groups and boy groups have to promote in K-pop, but it is even more different.
Worse in
J-pop.
Japan.
Because I think AKB48 and then Nogizaka 46 are kind of like the main players
the
of,
girls.
like, the K-pop or J-pop girl groups. And
it's the one everyone knows about.
Yeah, and this sort of style of promotion that they do is that they perform these, like, shorter, smaller concert at these, like, set concert venues, and they do that pretty regularly. But because of
multiple times a week. Multiple times a week. Like, this is a scheduled thing that you can go, like, this could be your entertainment. Some people pay for Disney Plus. Some people do, because the tickets supposedly are not that expensive.
Yeah, they're supposed to be affordable, and it's, like, kind of, they're marketed as, like, these are idols that you can personally relate to, so you can go see them often.
So you can physically just stalk these girls because, again, you can go see them in concert 3 times a week. Some people pay for a Disney Plus subscription. Some people pay for essentially a fun. I hope there's like a season thing there.
Right?
Like,
yeah.
Can you just pay
a
lump sum and you can just go as often as, like, is there like a booth? Like, what's the Again, I'm not sure, but I feel like it'd be a good idea just to have, like, if you're that obsessed.
And because
pay
of
a lump sum.
They're doing these, like, small concerts very often. Sort of the point of that and what's so appealing about it to a lot of people is that you're sort of watching these girls grow over time. So you can get into one of these units at, like, a very young age.
Very young.
With very little amount of talent as well. And you can be, like, really
and
bad.
And you will also get very little amount of training in that time.
Once you're there, you're sort of meant to train on your own, and no one is there specifically telling you how to train. So it's sort of like you are kind of learning as you go, and the people in the audience who are it's pretty much consistently going back to, like, see you are, like, watching you grow over time kind of a thing. And that's sort of something they were explaining in when they had produced 48 on, and why the talent level was so different in between all the Korean trainees who have a very strict training system, and then everyone from AKB48 where there's no training system in place, and it's more so you're kind of relying more on your own charisma and charm rather than you are, like, pure talent. And that's, I think, the more appealing part of J-pop girl groups to people is, like, they don't care as much about the talent. It's more so of, like, knowing them personally, just because of the way it's set up.
And the other thing with that is that you have to, there's also the graduation system, which I don't think is, like, a set. I think there might be an age limit, but a lot of those girls just leave at whatever time they wish to.
Yeah.
In a way. And also there's, like, a ranking system. Because they...
Yeah, they have, like,
they have a
I
ranking.
don't know what that thing is, but it's, like, full, like, throughout, like, all of the units, they have, like, a yearly ranking type of a
yeah,
thing.
and then like whoever ranks highest is going to end up with like better things in their songs. It's just, I don't want to get it. There are much better descriptions of the AKB system on YouTube from people that actually enjoy it.
Probably you can find out much better and probably more correct info on all of these actual J-pop things from other people, and I'd probably recommend you go do this because we don't have a lot of knowledge here on any of this.
We're trying.
But it's like, I'm not a professional. I don't listen to a lot of J-pop. This is all I have.
We are doing our best here. Also, if you can't tell, we're not particularly big fans of the AKB system.
No.
Like, we're no judgment if you are, but also it's not for us.
It's just different.
Like,
it's just so different than
than what we enjoy.
Yeah.
Because I don't, it's like a lot. It's too much.
It's a lot.
But that's sort of,
and that's real J-pop.
you do end up with like a few actual like, J-pop girl groups just tend to, either in terms of styling or in terms of actual age, because I've looked up some of the ages. It's like, when you look at J-pop girl groups, they skew so young.
Yeah.
And they style them so young.
Because I feel like girl groups almost skew younger than K-pop in a way.
Oh, yeah.
Because
like,
it's
the
like
boy groups skew older.
The girl groups skew, like, you can be as young as 13 and be in one of these AKB units.
And, like, the thing with the K-pop girl, and, like, they focus on it and they highlight it because it's always, like, a very cute schoolgirl bubblegum concept, at least for the most part.
But the other thing with J-pop girl groups is once they're older, it also can get, like, very forward, sexual, like, very quickly, as well. Mm-hmm. Because it's, like,
in a different way than K-pop, though. In a very different way.
Very different way, yeah. Because, like, I've seen music videos where everyone in the music video is just, like, in a bikini. A bikini, yeah.
No, there is just bikini music videos. Which is a lot.
But it's, like, the context for it, like, being sexy is a very different vibe than this kind of concepts you get in K-pop, too.
Yeah. I just, again, if you're into that, you know, you do you. But it's just, it's something that you should be aware of going in, that this is sort of the content you're going for.
Yeah.
And it's very different than in K-pop.
The thing that we're trying to I think the main point we're trying to get across is that there is such a large, like, gap in between K-pop and J-pop that you might not realize that there is. So if you're trying to get into J-pop, just realize it's going to be very different than K-pop.
Yeah.
Like, incredibly
And,
different.
like, you are going to have to, if what you're looking for is, because a lot of times, we haven't addressed the K-pop in the J-pop of it all, which is that a lot of times K-pop idols will just do J-pop songs. Yeah. And each group takes their own different,
there are so many different approaches to
Some of them just do the same music that they're doing, just in Japanese, which is one way to do it. Yeah. Like, I think NCT does that a lot, where it's just, this is an NCT song just in Japanese.
SF9 has not released a single original Japanese song. All of their Japanese releases are their Korean songs just in Japanese.
But, like, with NCT, it's like they're making new songs, but they're in a style.
But they're very similar.
They're very similar.
The same style, yeah.
Or, like, BTS doesn't change their songs. They're just sort of more of their, like, slower ballad adjacent songs.
They pick out sort of, like, a certain style song for Japan.
Yeah. And then some groups tend to go full J-pop. I think Twice is really good at full J-pop. Like, it's still not, like, J-pop into the extreme, but it's more J-pop than their Korean stuff. Like, especially their recently Korean stuff.
Like, IZ*ONE's Japanese
songs.
That was full J-pop.
Full J-pop. In the worst way.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
In the worst way. IZ*ONE had one good Japanese song.
Another thing that is sort of, like, a upcoming thing in the industry that we haven't really been getting yet is that K-pop companies just debuting full J-pop groups, which I know is like the big one is NiziU with JYP, and they're pretty much a full J-pop girl group. But I know that HYBE is doing one. A boy group in Japan. And then I know RBW is planning on one as well. FNC just had a whole survival show for a girl group for Japan. So it's
the thing is, I'm interested in seeing is that the girl groups, because at least from the bits I've seen of the FNC survival show, Who is Princess, and NiziU, I feel like the girl groups just go full J-pop.
Yeah.
Even though I think the girls of NiziU do tend to be slightly older. So we're not going the
They're
full
not quite
child.
as young, yeah.
Yeah. And like, who is Princess? I feel like that's going to go full
young.
J-pop.
Yeah.
We haven't had a boy group do it, and I think Hybe is really going to...
I think they're going to be the first one, probably. The Hybe group.
I'm interested in Hybe because it does have a lot of it's 4 people. I know all of them from Island. I have so many thoughts. Kay, don't let me down. Please. Please, Hybe.
I'm very interested to see what direction they go. I can't imagine they're going to go full J-pop. I imagine they're going to
see
be
them
like
going.
They're also going to be in this realm of like K-pop but in Japanese.
Yeah. Because, again, Nizzy U is like... They're still full J-pop, but they're, like, closer to the line.
Yeah, because they're in the realm of, it's, like, Japanese twice, which is...
Yeah.
it's, like, there is still a little bit of a pretty strong, like, influence
Korean
of K-pop
influence.
you can see there, yeah.
So,
to get into,
shall we go into
our specific groups that we recommend?
So those are things that we have very little knowledge of. That is actual J-pop. This is J-pop that if you are into K-pop, you might enjoy.
Yeah.
Dip your toe into here if you're interested, because these are groups that are like, I don't know how actual J-pop perceives any of these people. If they hate them, I wouldn't be surprised because it's so because it's so different than what actual J-pop is.
Yep.
So I wouldn't be surprised if, like, real J-pop fans are like, I'm not into this. It sounds exactly like K-pop, which I don't like, which I understand. But they found a niche, and the niche is me and Kayla.
Yes, we are the niche.
We are the niche. We're in. We're 100% in right now.
This is where we are. So just to get them out of the way, because we just did a whole episode on them last week, is JO1, obviously.
JO1 is the GOAT.
They are the greatest of the groups here. We love them,
of course,
so much.
Obviously.
They were obviously created on Produce Japan 101 Season 1. They, as we have said many times in the past, they have pretty direct ties back to Korea and K-pop, as their entertainment company is half owned by CJ and they also get sent to Korea to both train and record most of their music.
Yeah. And I would not be surprised if pre-pandemic these boys were attempting to possibly do a Korean debut, which I think still might happen. Who knows?
I think it probably
will. I'm so
will.
excited.
I just hope. I mean,
I
hope
want it so bad.
I really would like it to happen.
We're really out here just like pushing for it, please.
I want it so bad. So we mentioned this before, but their music style is very similar to like late 2nd gen, early 3rd gen K-pop groups.
Yeah.
Is what we would recommend. So if you're into like Infinite, Beast, Vix, New West style type music, highly recommend JO1.
JO1 gives me all the vibes of like when I first started getting into K-pop.
Yeah.
That's the vibes. If you're into like 2015, 2016 K-pop.
Yeah, that is where JO1 is.
That's where JO1 is perfect. Perfectly put.
Yeah.
I adore everything about them. They're wonderful, sweet boys. We have a full episode, and we talk about them incessantly. In depth,
all the time. They will be consistent here on the podcast. We love them.
We gave them Artist of the Year on our K-pop podcast.
They did win Artist of the Year 2021 on a K-pop podcast award show.
So that's just what we're doing.
Yep. And it's like, we don't, it's like all of these groups, honestly, we would be fine putting in just like all of our other K-pop stuff because they are they're similar enough to K-pop that honestly like, and we obviously clearly don't know enough or care about actual J-pop to make a whole separate category for it.
God, no. Honestly, that category would be the same 6 people.
Yep, and that's kind at that point it's like what are we doing? It's like what's the point there?
Yeah, so for context, JO1 is an 11-member boy group whom we adore.
Yes.
They're half under CJ, so they're kind of, they were IZ*ONE's brother group.
In a way, yes, because
in a way.
It's also because of Produce, too, so, like.
Yeah, the Produce and the fact that both of them did Japanese releases. They're sibling groups.
They're also in, like, they have some, like, weird connection to TO1 as well, because TO1's, like, an Mnet CJ group as, like, well, so they have both did that weird, Korean
Infinite City.
Infinite City. So I think the two of them are also like weirdly connected.
Kind of brother groups. I feel like everything in this world is just sort of like piling in on itself. The knee slapper cinematic universe is just like so many weird
multiple
connections.
Countries.
It spans all of the again, between the produce of it all, it's so much.
I think so next, the produce of it all, it really hits just all the countries.
It hits everything. It hits that. It combines all of it.
It does.
Now we have I, which was made on Produce 101 Season 2. Produce Japan 101 Season 2.
Yep.
So far, it seems like they have decided to take them in direction of making current trendy boy group music, but in Japanese, so noise music.
Yes. So like in kind of like Stray Kids and NCT.
But good.
But better. So, like, also, like, MC&D is, like, kind of in that noise realm.
P1 Harmony.
Yeah.
A little bit. They're very rap focused. They're more rap focused than
because they came in having, like, multiple people who came in as rappers. JO1 didn't have a single person in that group who went on forced Japan as a rapper, so several of them were forced to become rappers on the show.
And I think that they're mostly okay with it.
Yeah. I only has 6 songs because they just debuted in November, so we don't have a lot to go off yet.
And like 2 of them are from the show,
2
so
of them
like
are
they barely
from
count.
Produce Japan Season 2, yep.
And so really we're going based on Rocketeer, and Rocketeer is very current. Noise. Yeah.
Cardio also pretty noise as well.
I like Cardio.
Brighter
is like, more.
Is like almost a JO1 song. Brighter.
Yes.
Yeah.
It also doesn't really seem to have that much of a rap. I think that was just, I'm curious to see if they do more songs like Brighter.
I think that was a test because so I did the thing, I'm pretty sure like 101 did, where it's like, here are our 2 songs, vote which one you want to be the title track, and the people chose Rocketeer, and so the people chose the noise.
Yeah, I feel genuinely like if they would have done Brighter, you would have ended up with an identical group to JO1.
Yeah, I feel like it's honestly, I think it's really good if I continues to go in the more like current K-pop noise sound, because that keeps them pretty distinct from JO1, and the fact that they're both in the same company and came from the same like show. I think that keeps them pretty distinct as well, because both of them are also
never get them confused.
Permanent groups. Instead of being temporary like all the other produced groups are, because they are all unaffiliated with the company when they went on the show.
Yeah.
So they are permanent. So I think they do have to keep them distinct that way.
Yeah. And I do like, honestly, I think that I is making better noise music than a lot of K-pop groups are making noise music.
They are.
Because, like, noise music is not, again, we're just going to say it. Noise music is not our favorite.
No.
It's a trend that, like, I can't say I hate it, because, like, some of my favorite new groups are just doing noise music.
Yeah.
Because you have your MC&D, who I love. You have P1 Harmony, who we love. Even, like, Ghost 9's turned it around. I enjoy Ghost 9.
Yeah.
So, like, a bunch of these groups are good. It's just, like, not my favorite style, because it's very easy to fuck up.
Yeah.
And we've seen it get fucked up a lot, where it just sounds like noise. That's because noise music can either sound super fucking hype or like actual noise.
Yeah.
So I think that they're like their best rookie of 2021.
They are. We just have to hear more from them, really, because we don't have We don't have a lot to go off of right now.
No.
But what they do have is really good.
And the thing with J-pop, especially just these groups, you'll end up with a lot of content.
Yes.
Every song gets like a dance practice or a music video, so you end up with a lot of content.
Nice. It's really fun.
It is. The whole year last year was taken up by J-pop groups.
It was. It really was.
Because they just kept putting shit out, and we're like, no, this is better.
It was a constant, really. The next group we have is another group we talk about pretty often, which is Orbit. Orbit is the JBJ of Produce 101 Japan Season 1, because it's made out of essentially every single member who came in like 12th through like 18th place on the show.
And also were forced out of the show, because it also includes
forcibly pushed off the show as well.
Because it also includes the 3 former members of Halo that were
all
on
dropped
Produce
out of the show
Season
right
1.
before the finale.
Yep.
Yep.
For reasons for suspicious reasons.
Suspicious reasons. Orbit is as Korean of a group as NCT 2020 is. As a fun fact,
we did the math.
There's a fun fact 43%. It's a fun fact I love throwing around.
It's a math thing we did, which is the fact that NCT, if you take account everybody that was in NCT 2020, is 43 point something % Korean.
Yeah.
And so is Orbit.
Yep.
They're 40 something % Korean.
Yep.
And so thus they're the same amount of Koreanness.
They are the same amount of Korean, and then that gives us an excuse to include them in K-pop. Not that it was gonna matter anyway, but
not that I mean, look. Let's be honest. JO1 is not at all Korean, and we're gonna include them in everything.
Korean, yeah. So they are, I think, in a similar style of music to J-pop, but I think they lean more third gen K-pop, like early to like mid third gen. So in like 17 is a group I feel like they can be pretty similar.
They're very like the 17 from like Don't Wanna Cry to like I would say like Thanks and Home and all of that. That era of 17.
Yes.
And also
something that is like also I think this might be like actually a pretty decent description of like Orbit is if you take Halo as a group and you look at the years that Halo was active, which was 2014 through 2019. That is the style of K-pop that Orbit is doing. Is they're doing whatever was popular in K-pop in 2014 through 2019.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if like how much the members of Halo like how influential they are on the group, because Orbit music doesn't sound like Halo music. But
Not
I
at
feel
all.
like they were probably influenced by the types of music that was popular at the time that like Halo was like active as a group. So it kind of makes a little bit of sense in that way.
Yeah. Halo is just looking back at Halo, cuz recently because of Orbit we've gone back and listened to I knew of Halo, but it's not a group that I ever thought about
super into
like
Halo, yeah.
It's not a group I'd never heard of, but it was never something that I like. What exactly? Oh, Halo, my favorite K-pop group.
It's like they were like more underrated boy groups at that period of time that I was into a lot more than Halo, like 24K or like History or whatever.
7 o'clock.
Yeah.
Bunch of those groups I think I enjoyed more, but overall I'm happy that they are able to continue to do this, and they seem very happy.
They do. They really do. And I'm happy for both like members of Halo and also these other members who like were right on the verge of making it into JO1 and then didn't, because I really feel like it turned out for the better for all of them.
Oh yeah, I think everybody turned out making the music that they should have been making.
Yeah.
Because like June especially, I'm like June and JO1 would have been a time.
And it's like I would have felt so bad for June if June didn't make it into JO1 and then just kind of like sadly disappeared. But now that he's in Orbit, I'm like super happy for him.
Yeah.
He like fit. It's like I feel like they did a really good job at like creating music that is like essentially fits like the style of everyone in that group really well as well, which is great.
Yeah. So next group we have is another produce adjacent group, which is OWV. You'll find that a lot of these groups that are making this style of music are like produce adjacent.
Yes. Because
I just think that it was just that show was so geared toward a K-pop style of music. They covered mostly K-pop songs anyway, that I think a lot of these this is where these boys' talents lie.
And I almost feel like all of the people who went on to produce Japan in the first place were more interested in being in a K-pop style group rather than a J-pop group to begin with.
Fair. I mean, some of them did actually leave one of the bigger J-pop style companies to go in here. Like Rookie, for example, that's in JO1, was in a Johnny and Associates thing. And like, who knows when he would have debuted? It would be years. I don't think they were planning on putting him. Maybe he was going to be in Snowman. Now that I think about it, maybe he would have been in Snowman. Oh, thank God.
Thank God he's in JO1 and not over there.
Thank God. Oh my God. That'd be a travesty. That's a travesty, I swear.
Mm-hmm.
That's such a travesty. Oh my God.
But OWV is also made up of members that didn't make it into JO1 but were on Produce 101 Japan Season 1. So their company, they are weirdly directly related to JO1 because their company is Yoshimoto Kyogo, which is the company that owns half of JO1's company.
Mm-hmm.
So they are like kind of like stepbrother groups in a weird way.
Yeah, that's fun.
Mm-hmm. So they are, so OWV I think is probably, they're like not that, I don't think they're that popular. But their music
I think that they're probably
into, I don't know if they're more or less popular than Orbit. Because I know that I think Orbit's it's equivalent. Not super popular either.
I think we're dealing with equivalents here.
Yeah. But they are making like Nugu boy group noise music for
They
sure.
are.
That's the type of music they're making. So if you like Epex and Gravity and like Omega X and Ghost 9 and like some of like Mirai, Wei, like that kind of sound,
that
like
stuff.
Noise, whenever those groups are making noise music, like this is the type of music OWV makes.
But also like good.
Yeah.
The best version of that.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, I enjoy it. I wouldn't be recommending them if they were bad. So it's like, they're making noise, but it's like.
But like also the fact that we very blatantly have said we don't like a lot of these groups. Yeah. We're like, no.
But it's like, but they're taking that style of music and like making it good.
Good.
I will say if there's any like sort of hesitancy on them is that their vocal style is a little bit more shaky than the other groups on this list.
Yeah, they just tend to not have as good of vocalists as the rest of them, but also I think that the noise music doesn't require you to have the best vocals in the world.
Yeah, their vocal style I think is the nasaliness of the J-pop singing style definitely comes through a little bit stronger with them than other groups, but because of the style of music they're making in the first place, it's not as prevalent as it could be.
Yeah.
Yep.
So next we have our soloists, our male soloists. We have Noah.
Yay.
So Noah is a Japanese male soloist. He's an XYG trainee.
Yep.
So he essentially just kind of sounds like a
K-pop idol.
He sounds like K-pop idol. He kind of sounds like he could like if he was in K-pop, there's like no male vocalist I want to compare him to because he doesn't he's just very, I don't know how to describe it. There's like when we were doing all our J-pop bonus videos we made, we tried to find an equivalent to Noah in K-pop.
And it was
hard.
Extremely difficult. Yeah.
Like, he kind of sounds a little bit like Crush, but if Crush did pop music.
And, like, so if you were to take Crush and, like, mix it with Park Ji-hoon, which is a really bizarre combination of people to put together.
Never what I would picture together, but yes, it's like Crush mixed with Park Ji-hoon.
And that's, which is, like,
that
it sounds
Noah.
like that should be bad, but he is.
But it's great. I love him.
So
Noah
good.
is amazing. And, like, he does sound like he would fit in a YG style of group.
He does.
Like,
if
he was trained at YG.
He would probably have been on Treasure Box had he stayed at YG.
He seems too... Not that Noah is old, but he seems too old to be in Treasure.
He does. He definitely does. His style of music, I say, almost leans more into Western pop soloists than it does K-pop even. It's in this weird, like, middle area between, like, a K-pop male soloist and, like a Western, like, I don't know, like, he reminds me a lot of Love in a weird way. Like, that's a style of music. He's kind of in the middle ground between K-pop and, like, that.
Yeah. He's only 22, but also just seemed too old to be in Treasure.
He does. Like, I don't know why. Maybe
he gives off the vibes of I think it's the music he's currently making.
Yeah.
It's also, I think, the songs he's currently making do not fit the Treasure vibe.
They don't. And it's, like, maybe because he's a soloist, he comes off older just
maybe.
By being a soloist, because I feel like I expect, like, male soloists to be older, I guess, in a weird way, so.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah. But he's great. He doesn't have, like,
I love him.
He debuted pretty recently, too, like, I think in 2020. So he's relatively new, but I love all of his music.
All of his music is so good. He's a great vocalist. He's, like, really just like chill.
He's very chill, yeah.
Like in a way that I feel like if you just want to go for like a drive, just put on a Noah playlist and you're gonna have a great time. Mm-hmm. Like it's so fun and chill.
He also,
and I love it.
Because he like he is like a kind of, he spent a lot of time in like YG and like a sort of like was in the
Korea.
K-pop realm for a while. He gets a lot of features on his songs that are actually like Korean artists. Like I know Say was on one of his songs.
Say was on
from AB6 was on one of his songs.
He was.
So it's like he does also just have like a weirdly like direct connection back to a lot of K-pop artists as well.
Oh yeah, no, it's so and it's just always so good and like just good vibes, man. Mm-hmm. I get good vibes from Noah, and he does a lot of covers as well.
Yeah. And he is probably the person you are least likely to just stumble upon if you're looking into J-pop. So
oh my God.
I would very much like to recommend.
You know how we said like the least popular person was gonna be maybe thing? No, it's Noah.
Yeah.
'Cause like we've ended up we're in the niche when you get to Noah.
Yeah.
You're in the niche of the niche.
We're definitely
we're just describing to you our favorite indie artist, essentially.
Mm-hmm. He's great.
I love him.
I would be into like, I don't know, Japanese indie soloists more than like Korean indie music, but here we are.
I know, we're into J-pop indie music. That's really where we're going.
We are.
I'm very interested in him, though. I'm so excited to see what Noah does.
He doesn't have any like physical releases yet because I've tried to look it up before, but I would buy it.
Because we've tried to buy them.
I would buy it for him. I do like. I like him a lot. He's really good.
He's so good. I love him. So I want more from Noah.
Yes. So the next group we have on here is our last one, and it's also our only girl group that we have. Mm-hmm. And this is Fakie is the
only J-pop girl group that we've really just gravitated towards. This is like if I'm being honest.
Also like by far the closest that you're ever gonna get to a K-pop group in J-pop. It's Fakie,
and it's not even that close to It's not that close, but it is as close with girl groups as we were able to find.
Because Fakie's also kind of a little bit in the weird middle ground between a K-pop and Western pop as well.
But they're just leaning older. Yeah. They kind of remind me a little bit of like
we're the Spica,
Mamamoo, Spica,
of K-pop more so than anything recent K-pop. Yeah, but they're good.
They're very good.
They seem like they're kind of a complicated group to understand because it seems like they've had a lot of member changes, and there seems to be a lot of complications there. But I haven't really followed them closely enough to like actually know. Because it just by going off of like Spotify, it seems like they had all their songs and then they re-recorded all their songs again at some other point in time. So it seems like they've gone through a lot of member switches.
Yeah, when I was looking through a bunch of their stuff, it just seemed like there were different people in different music videos.
Yeah,
but like
the music is consistently
the music
kind of the
is
same
always
genre,
good.
So
and the music is consistently very good.
Mm-hmm.
Like you can tell that it's not because with a lot of these boy groups. Taking off Noah, because Noah's different. Soloists are always different than groups, but like looking at like JO1 and I, and especially like in Orbit, they're almost indistinguishable from a K-pop song. Mm-hmm. This is not K-pop. Fakie does not make K-pop in Japanese, but
they don't.
So close that it kind of feels like this would be the J-pop song a K-pop girl group would record. Yes. If Mamamoo did their Japanese debut, it could be something like this.
It could be Fakie, yeah.
It could be Fakie.
It's like it is weird because it's like we have them on this list of like K-pop, like J-pop groups that sound like K-pop, but like the more you look into it, I'm like they don't really sound like K-pop, but they kind of do a lot at the same time. So it's weird. They're in a weird spot.
It's a weird spot that I'm just sort of I like it and I'm into it. So we're gonna keep going.
I mainly hear it because we like them. It's one of the only J-pop girl groups we have found that we have enjoyed. So here they are.
So we're gonna go with it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I like them a lot more than a lot of K-pop groups these days. So
let's be honest, that's fair.
would recommend them highly if you're not a fan of like
let's
current
be honest.
girl group music.
Let's be honest. At the end, last year became our J-pop year, mainly because we were really so disappointed with the K-pop.
Recent
that
K-pop
we were just
trends
like,
are like not at all what I want to listen to. And then we found this specific niche of J-pop, which is making the type of music we care about and want to listen to.
So it's like it's this
here.
niche of J-pop and like the 5 K-pop groups we still care about.
Yep.
Consistently.
Mm-hmm.
Because so many of our favorite groups are just in the military, and it's upsetting.
They are. My top 3 groups are all kind of caught up in military right now, so
it's you know. You got to make do with what you got.
Mm-hmm. But yes.
So we're going to have a full playlist of J-pop songs from these specific 5 groups.
Yep.
As our next bonus video.
Uh-huh. We're going to have that. There's also going to be a similar video, almost identical video, which is one of those like...
Came out a while... Yeah, that came out...
if you like this song from a K-pop group, listen to this song from a J-pop group type video.
Yep.
There's also that. That's a little bit more diverse.
Useful.
Because we also put songs that we don't like on there, but were similar to other songs from J-pop
songs that
artists,
we don't like.
That's maybe a little bit more useful of a playlist than this one that is just a list of songs from these specific 6 people.
Look, we tried. Oh, the other group I want to mention that connects to the Knee Slapper cinematic universe. Mm-hmm. If you have seen Chwang 2021,
yes,
and you enjoyed that,
yes,
remember that both Santa and Rikamaru are from a J-pop group called Wraps Up. Which is pretty decent. I actually kind of like
a couple Intersection that
and I don't particularly
Mika's in that one.
Mika's in Intersection, but Intersection is also
worse group.
Is worse.
Yeah.
So I recommend Wraps Up. Look into Intersection. Intersection is him and Kaylin and like 3 and like the other half white people that were on.
And then
half Japanese, half white.
Guy named William and there's another guy
and someone else.
There's something else.
They were all on Chwang 2021. Yep. If you liked the Kaylin Mika side of it, go to Intersection. If you like the Santa Rikamaru bit, go to Wraps Up.
Yep.
That also connects to the greater Knee Slapper
cinematic musical universe, I guess. Yeah.
Everything connects.
Yep.
Which is insane.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah. So this has been J-pop for K-pop fans. I hope this was useful to at least one person out there.
I hope one person who hates J-pop comes out of this and looks up somebody.
Mm-hmm. Because it's like, I don't actually know how useful of an episode this is to anybody, but it was kind of it was fun for us to introduce these specific groups to people. So
look, we are the ones. Look, we have found this niche, and I think it's our duty to put it out there to the greater K-pop community.
We're probably some of the most like vocal people in this niche as well that are like, these groups are amazing.
Probably.
Listen to them, please. You don't know who they are.
I have genuinely never heard a singular... Again, I'm not into J-pop. I'm not in the J-pop side of any of it.
But I have no idea what the input of anyone who listens to actual J-pop is.
But like, you know... K-pop fans definitely don't care. I know that.
Oh yeah.
So here we are. Here we are. We have to do this.
We do. It was necessary for us.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the end of J-pop month, really, because we're gonna be back to company reviews and then Scandal Iceberg next.
Woo.
So we are available on all major podcasting platforms like Apple Podcasts and Spotify and wherever else you listen to podcasts. If you can leave a review on whatever site you listen to us on, leave us a review there. We also have a YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes along with fun extra clip videos every week. Like we have mentioned, we have all J-pop themed ones this month.
Yay, J-pop.
We also have a very inactive Instagram and Twitter account. I can't promise they're going to be used, but they're there if you want to follow them.
They're present and they're not useful, so I don't know.
Maybe
if we get more followers, we'll use it.
Yeah, I stopped posting on them because they were doing nothing for us, so I just stopped. But
yay,
we'll see. But we will see you guys in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.